Blog Talk Radio.
The Psychic Connection, with your host, Heather Woodward and Rachel Woodward, radio for the intuitive listener. Thursdays at 1 p.m. on Blog Talk Radio, The Psychic Connection. Hey everybody, and welcome to the Blog Talk Radio. We had some seriously retarded things happen to us. We're actually starting a half hour late. We did start on time. Blog Talk Radio had a huge glitch. We were actually sending out this weird pulsating thing instead of words and music, and we couldn't get anybody on the line. So we are now back. We are talking to Tia Douglas about her book, The Secrets of the Serpent Bloodline. Let's say that again, The Secrets of the Serpent Bloodline, and it's about RH negative blood and some esoteric teachings and all kinds of stuff. So we're going to get all into that. For those who were listening before, or anybody who is going to be clicking the old link, you are going to be redirected to the show because I did copy and paste everything exactly correctly. And also I also reposted on Twitter and Facebook. So hopefully this will all work out. If you know somebody who's trying to listen and you're listening to this one and they were listening to the other one, redirect them, talk to them, tell them what's going on. So anyway, the show's going to be great, and we already practiced now for like 10, 15 minutes, so we all know what we're going to say now. So I'm Heather Woodward, by the way, and I'm a little bit off. I'm sorry because, again, technical difficulties. This is the Psychic Connection, radio for the intuitive listener. Rachel is here. She's our co-host, and Tia is here on the line as well. Hello, ladies.
Hello.
Okay, so we're back, and we're in business, and let's see what happens now. Oh, also, just for everybody who's listening, if you want to catch the show and you don't catch it live, you can always go to iTunes, type in Psychic Connection. It comes up. You can listen to all of our podcasts that way. Also, we always repost on Facebook and Twitter and on the psychicconnection.net. So there's lots of ways to listen to the show. Okay. So, Rachel, I want you to kind of take over, not the whole show, but I just want you to talk about this because, I know, we already did this, didn't we? It's like Groundhog Day. Because you're the one who's really, really interested in the RH negative. Just for our listeners, my whole family is RH negative. We are A negative. My mom and my dad are A negative. My brothers and sisters are A negative. I tend to date or marry O negative people. My dad tends to date A negative people. Rachel doesn't date anybody that's negative. But my mom does too. My mom dates people that are negative blood as well. And Tia, you are negative, correct? I would assume.
Yeah.
What are you? You're O negative. Okay. You're like O negative is like the bloodline that hasn't been mixed, correct?
Yeah, I mean, somebody could have O negative blood and be mixed, but that's because most people carry it recessively anyway.
Okay. So Rachel, go with it.
Oh, I guess my curiosity came from, like I had said before in the last show, my curiosity with it was from, and I guess I wasn't really ever really known about it or never really inquired about it. I got pregnant at 17, and they had told me that if you ever try to have children again, that you need to get these shots because your blood will kill off the baby because it's different blood. And I don't know, when you're 17 and having a kid, you're just like, oh, okay, you don't really think much of it. And then as I've gotten older, I've kind of looked more into it because my father, my mother, and my sister Heather all seem to be very attracted to the people with the same blood type. I, on the other hand, have not been attracted to those people, nor have I encountered them. with the same blood type. So for me, I have one child, one pregnancy, that's it. My body seems to reject everything else. But I was really curious about it because the more I researched it, the more I found that it is a small population that carries this blood type, as well as it started in Basque Spain as far back they can trace it. And when you start asking questions about it, you're told that the blood at some point in nature, the species' DNA and its blood had mutated, and that's the explanation for it. It all originated from primates, and throughout evolution, it just mutated, and so now you have a subspecies of humans with this blood type. And I thought that was interesting because when you do look at nature and you do look at evolution and you do look at the way that those patterns and cycles happen, species evolve and they do change, and it is possible for that to happen, but it usually happens in nature for survival purposes of the survival of the species. And I thought it was interesting, well, then why would a human's blood type mutate where it does just the opposite? It can only breed within the same bloodline. That's not to say that the negative blood of a man can't impregnate a positive woman, but the negative woman seems to only be able to conceive children as a life giver to other negative men. It seems to reject the other. Modern science has interjected now, Western medicine has, and now you just get shot. So it tricks your body into allowing the fetus to grow inside of you. And I thought that was interesting because I was like, essentially what that's saying is that according to modern medicine, somewhere along the line, the species mutated in order to cause its own extinction. And for me, that was a little bit hard to swallow as far as, well, why would it do that? And so I researched it even further, and I've been trying to figure out our own family genealogy as far as where the bloodline started. And there's so many different theories, philosophies, science that leads you in so many different roads and paths that you can take, from biblical times to Adam and Eve's bloodline, to the possibility of maybe Lilith's bloodline, to Atlantis, to aliens and angels. And so I'm naturally curious because it seems to all tie in together but go into so many different directions. And I really want to personally, for my own family and for my own self, I'm curious, where did my family bloodline come from? So that's my curiosity with it, there in a nutshell.
The end. Okay, Gia. What do you have to say about that?
Right, well, it happens
I just
both
want to know
ways
more.
with the pregnancy.
Go ahead.
It happens both ways with the pregnancy. A positive woman who has a child that is negative, the child could die as well.
Oh, wow, I didn't know that.
Yeah,
that I have not heard yet, so
that's
interesting to know.
Okay.
Yeah, there's quite a few people who've come forward and said they nearly died. They were a blue baby and all sorts of things, and that was because they got some of their mother's blood into their system, and obviously our systems will reject straight away anything with Rhesus positive stuff in it. So yeah, it damages the babies. So it works both ways, basically, and that's something that they never really publicise in any way. They always try to make out that we've got some kind of disease. Yeah, they make out, we're diseased or something, and we can't have children. They never make, they never give you the full story. And if a negative has a child with a negative, then there's absolutely no problems. So you don't need the shot, you don't need anything, as long as it's with another negative. And same with positives. If they just have children with other positives, then it's fine, there's no problem. It's only when the mixing happens that there's a problem.
And that's
really interesting.
Because that, to me, when you put it like that, that's two species, and they don't crossbreed. In order to do it, you have to have science come in and intervene to do a hybridization. And to me, that's not saying that the blood mutated. That's saying that there's two separate species.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So how do you?
And that's where I have the problem with it, that it's a mutation.
It's not a mutation. It's for it to mutate, it would mean that it'd have to delete something. It makes much more sense that something got added later.
Right.
Yeah,
So the Adams
exactly.
and Eves are the RH positives, the Adams and Eves, because they were created by the ancient bloodline, who mixed some of their genes with some of the primitives, like the simians, creating a whole new Adams and Eves.
Okay,
and
so who are the simians? Just for those who don't know.
They were just very primitive apes, primates.
Okay.
They just evolved naturally on Earth to a point where they were just further behind than us, who were the ancient bloodline, who had already evolved to a certain point where we knew how to do things, whereas they didn't. So we took some of our genes and put it in theirs to create the Adam and Eves. I'm trying to use terminology that you'll understand from how it's been written in the Bible, in allegorically, because when Eve was tempted by the serpent, we're actually talking about the serpent bloodline,
right? And
that's when they mated. Some of the serpent bloodline mated with the Eves. It created another new bloodline, which are the ones who basically run the planet have run the planet ever since. So people get these two bloodlines mixed up. They think that the ancient bloodline, the serpent bloodline, are the ones that are running everything, but it's not. It's the hybrids that were a creation. It's like when the Bible, how does it word it? It said in those days the giants bred with the people of the earth or something, the Adams and the Eves, you know.
Yeah,
that's what they're talking about. It's the outcome of that union between those created this bloodline, which basically rule the planet now. And they use for their emblem an eagle. So everywhere you look that there's a symbol of an eagle, that's where they've been. You'll see it's the imperial eagle. It's the Roman Empire. It's through Russia. Even America uses it now as their emblem. It's just everywhere. And that
but
eagle
is
their
what you're
symbol.
saying.
Yeah, they're not pure-blooded, but they do like to mate with pure-blooded females, like Princess Diana and Sarah Ferguson. They're pure-blooded, but they mix with these half-breeds, which are the current royal family in the UK. They're not pure bloodline. And I did an article actually about it, about the fact that the mixing causes problems in the brain, because it sort of has like a split personality where there's one side wants to be good and nice and wonderful, and the other side wants to be bad. and yeah, it is. It's like a it's like a battle.
I have
in
that.
The mind.
I have that terribly. That's why I was. You were talking about RH negative people, right? The mixture of the two.
Yeah, the mixing causes psychological problems a lot of the time.
Well, I have the case of I'm always fighting myself to do the right thing, or always fighting myself to stay on one side or the other, because I have terrible tendencies of just wanting to go crazy and amok. I want to like all the time I have thoughts about I'm just gonna get rid of everything I own and I'm gonna go and travel and be decadent and just go crazy, and then I'm like, whoa, pull it back, got a kid, got a fiance, you know what I mean? But but when I was in my 20s and I didn't, and earlier on when I was in college, I did not have a care in the world, and I used to just like, screw everything, I'm gonna go and be hedonistic now, and I really had to fight that, and it's an interesting that you say that, because it's such a. And also the other inclination is to not want to keep my mouth shut. Like I always want to say my piece. Like whether it's for good or bad, I just want to get it out there. I don't know. Is that part of being RH negative?
Well, we're certainly more leaders than sheeple, you know? You must have heard the term sheeple. We're certainly, do like to put our views across and our opinions, and even when they're not wanted sometimes. That can get us into trouble.
Yeah.
I mean, we don't usually mean to offend people.
They just get you going, and you're like, all right. you're now going to die, and I don't even know why. I don't know why I want to hurt you with my words now, but I'm going to go for it, and then I'm going to say sorry later because you got me going now. And I have to constantly try to pull that back and constantly say compassion, love, understanding, not warrior.
Yeah, but they do go further don't they? They go one further because they have all these wars and everything, and they want to control everybody. These the eagles, as we call them, like So it's not as if they can rein it in like we could. They just deranged.
So who would be considered an eagle? Like in far as like, do you think like the Templars would be considered eagles, or like what people?
Actually, the Templars, it's a confusing thing because our bloodline have had all sorts of different orders in the past, and we've called them all different things. Okay. And one of them was Templars, and we have our Templar order now. But the thing is, they were infiltrated a long time ago when they were all burnt at the stake. I don't know how much you've read into the history, but they were infiltrated by the Catholics, the Roman Catholics, who said that, they're heretics and all this. And I go into a bit more detail in my book about this, but they basically wanted us all dead because they found out who we were and what we were up to, and we were trying to give out the true Gnostic teachings to the people, and they wanted to hide it all in their archives under the Vatican and not let anybody know about it, so they had more power and control over the people. And then when they did burn all the real Templars at the stake, they took over and set up new orders, but they're not us. So there's like the Knights of Malta. They're under papal control. All of the Knights Templars that are under papal control are nothing to do with us.
Interesting.
Because we're Gnostics and we always have been. So
that makes really a lot of sense to me. I've read about the Knights of Templar, but probably not as much as you have, or not as deeply as you have because you wrote a book about it. But yeah, I didn't know that, and I always thought there was some sort of strange configuration about it, because when you read about the earlier Templars, they're way different than the next generation of Templars, and I didn't realize that there was that crossover, because they really were sort of about what was right or what was good or what was truth, you know what I mean? And then it changed into this whole religious thing of having to conquer everybody, and so I always wondered what the distinction was there. So that does make more sense to me.
And the Freemasons aren't real Templars as well. I know they call themselves Templars, but they're not.
They're not? I didn't know that. Go ahead.
No, they're eagles. It's an eagle organization. Have you seen their symbol, what it is? It's a double-headed eagle. And that is because the eagle's looking both ways. They have this game where they play both sides, you see. They say they'll have something set up like the Church of Satan, and then on the other side they'll have the Roman Catholic Church, and they'll say, one will be at one side, one will be at the other side, and it'll be like a game of chess. And everyone will think, I'm taking that side, or I'm taking that side, not realising that they're on both sides. And they've done that all throughout history. They've set up two opposing things and got people to support one or the other, but they're both of them. That's all they do.
Huh.
That's all they've done throughout history, and that makes people never wake up, because they're always thinking, I'm supporting this, never realising that they're behind it anyway. It's the same with anything. It's the same with politics as well. They have a red side and a blue side, and people pick sides and get really what's the word? Well, they're very supportive of one side, not realising that them behind closed doors are shaking hands and saying, this is a funny pantomime, isn't it? And they're all taking sides, but they still get what they want at the end of the day.
Right.
Because they're behind both parties.
Kind of, lobbyists don't really care if you're in a red or blue. They just want things to go through. So they talk to anybody who will make it happen. It's all pretty much the same stuff.
Because how many times do the politicians stand up and say, we'll change this and we'll change that, and as soon as they get in, they never do?
No, they don't.
No.
Because they've already got their agenda set out for them. Doesn't matter which side it is.
Yep. Absolutely.
It's interesting that you say it that way. Because I think people get very caught. It's like with sports, people get very caught up in the competition of it and don't think of the other aspects of it. So
yeah, you need to step back and see the bigger picture and see, well, if everybody's all so focused on thinking about which side they're on, they can't see the bigger picture and think, well, wait a minute, we're all in this together, you know, we should all be on the same side.
Right.
You know, because we all want the best for everything and everyone. Apart from them, we're having us there sat at the top saying, oh, we'll get these fighting against them, we'll get the Muslims fighting against the Jews and the Christians fighting against the pagans, and we'll sit back having a good laugh about it, you know.
While we do what we need to do, while everybody else is focused on these other things.
Well, you have to create cloud and smoke. You have to create something for people to look at in order to do what you need to do. It's a sleight of a hand. It's almost like a magic trick.
Yeah, and it creates fear and confusion, and when people are so focused on all these other things, they can't focus on what's important.
Right.
And what's important is really your own spiritual path, which has completely been removed from all the current mainstream religions. It's ridiculous. It's just all dogma, and you must do this and you must do that, and it's just all removed.
It's all rules and regulations.
Yeah.
Instead of finding the true path. No.
Well, a lot of that is that they've separated everything. And it's not just religion that's done that. I mean, science has done that. Psychology has done that. I mean, so many things have done that. Even like with dieting and like what our sister Sarah is doing, everything is so segregated. And the biggest thing is that it's not segregated. Nothing is that separate. Everything is interconnected, and one always has to do with the other. And I think that's one of the biggest problems with that is creating these sides, and causing all of that is that they're causing that separation. And with that separation, you can never, ever find the actual truth because it's coming out in pieces. And the pieces need to be put together in order to actually see what's being painted on the wall.
Yeah, it's just having to stand back and have a look at everything, like, so you can see the bigger picture, which is, you know, it's so hard for people to do when they get so caught up in one specific thing, like even if it is just a sports team or a political party or a religion. It's something that's clouding their view of what reality actually is.
That's funny.
I definitely agree with that.
So let's get back to, I want to talk about your church, I guess is what I want to call it. Wow, I just went into Stutterland. I want to talk about your church, and then I also want to talk about some of the Gnostic teachings, and then I want to get back to Arch Negative Blood again. But let's talk about your church, because you did talk about spirituality, and what is it, and what does it represent, and give us the details on it.
Well, it's a hidden church that's been about for thousands and thousands of years, but it's never been in the public. It's been esoteric, which I'm sure you must be aware that the word occult actually means hidden.
Right.
So it's just basically been hidden in the shadows, where every time we tried to set something up like the Templars or the Cathars, as soon as we were found out, we were burnt at the stake, called heretics, which is whatever. And that has happened all throughout history. Every time we've come forward with something, we've been persecuted, and a lot of our ancestors were killed because of that. But we sort of kept things going, what we call in the underground stream, where we kept passing the knowledge down through generations, so that when the time's ready for people to hear this truth without burning us at the stake, we can come out and say it. And I think that time's now, because I think people are ready. So we're giving people the opportunity to learn this now, because I think it's time. I mean, they can't exactly round us all up and burn us at the stake as easy as they used to do in the olden days, so it's a little easier these days.
It is. And do you find that there's a shift lately? I know there was supposed to be this big shift in 2012, but I really don't. I feel like it happened a little before that, and it's sort of really happening now. I feel this sense of major shift, and people are coming out with these what we would consider wild theories about things that actually do make sense because they're built on truth. Maybe not exact truth, but as close to truth as we can get, you know. And I'm finding that people are really starting to like open up their psychic abilities, and they're really trying to open themselves up, and they're starting to think bigger, not so like I don't know. I think it has to do with the divine feminine too, and the idea that we are kind of going into this place of more what I would consider the high priestess in tarot, where we're looking behind us between the two pillars, and you want to see what's behind the veil, kind of thing. What do you think?
Well, we are coming into a new eon. The first eon was matriarchal, and then we're sort of in the patriarchal one now, but on the crossover to an androgynous eon where balance will be restored. So we've had the time where women were sort of more in control, and then men took over and sort of suppressed women, but now the divine feminine is returning, so we're going to have a time where it's going to cause a lot of people inner conflict, and there's going to be a lot of people who are angry about certain things that are going to happen because they can't accept things or it hurts their ego in some way. But there's going to be a time where we have to now come to realise that, you know, both of the sexes are equally as important, and quit all this nonsense about, you know, men are better than women or women are better than men, and just come into a time of balance. So it's the new eon. We call it the eon of veritas, which is truth.
Ah, okay. That does make sense. So where do you think RH negative blood kind of fit into all of this? Or do they?
Well, it's very ancient bloodline, which is the first humans on the planet, which have been called all sorts of things over the years. We've been called Neanderthals, pixies, fairies, elves. We've been called all sorts of names. But the ancient bloodline was the first humans I told you about, where they created the Adams and Eves, and then the Eagle bloodline was created through breeding with them. So the bloodline is about that. It's about the fact that we've passed down the teachings, where the new ones, the Eagles, have wanted to destroy it because it would take their control away from the people. Because their whole thing is about controlling people and stopping them finding out the truth and anything that would enlighten them. So religion and the whole patriarchal religion set has all been about that. It's been stopping anything to do with the divine feminine. I mean, even left, which was always the feminine side, like talked about the two pillars before and the high priestess between. Right. The left is always the feminine. Mm-hmm. And in Italian, it's sinistra, you know, sinister, because everything to do with femininity has been demonized. And now it's a case of it all coming out where, you know, even a pentagram is a Venus transition in the sky. It forms a pentagram in the sky, its transit. And we're told, oh, the pentagram's an evil symbol. No, it's not. It's the transit of Venus, which is an example of the divine feminine.
Which is interesting because there's all kinds of connotations with Venus, because Lucifer, the term Lucifer, has to deal with Venus as well. It's looking out into the sky and finding the truth, because Lucifer means knowledge or truth. So it's interesting that anything has to do with Venus, or that has to do with, or the shining one, you know, which is Venus. But it's interesting that anything has to do with feminine, or the feminine principle, or anything that has to do with the esoteric or the Gnosis teachings, all of a sudden it has this connotation of the devil or of, like you said, being sinister. And it's so interesting to me because the more that Rachel and I have been like combing through some of this stuff, the more we find that a lot of it just has to do with symbolism and has to do with astrology and constellations, and it has to do with how people before just really navigated the world, and we've turned it into this whole dogma and this whole principle of having to do these things or going to hell. And hell really, in a lot of ways, is really truth or the feminine, or you know what I mean? It has to do with creation. So it always surprises me that people just, they stick to the Bible, and like the King James Version, King James was a bastard, and he pretty much took out anything that had to do with women. In the Bible, he rewrote it so that it only had males in them, and anything had to do with female was more of like an oppressive thing. And then we use that as like the main Bible, but nobody knows that it was rewritten, or most people don't know that, or they overlook it. And so it surprises me that people don't look further into their own religion or the things that they believe in.
Their own belief systems. You would think that you would have researched your own belief systems because most of it is on faith. And a lot of people gain these faiths and these ideas and concepts from their own personal experiences. So why you wouldn't dig any further than the first answer that you come across? Wouldn't you want to? I don't know. For me, anyways, I'm always asking, well, why?
Now, is that an RH negative trait? Is that something that?
Oh yeah, always asking instead of just accepting what's told and taught to you. That is definitely an RH negative trait.
I know
the only thing that I don't ask why for is mathematics. I don't ever ask why. I'm always the person in class that will never ask why. I'm like, it just is. It doesn't matter why. It just is. I don't know.
That makes me laugh. It totally does. I'm sorry. I don't know what that was. I don't know if this is in your book, but I know on your website because I was checking out your website in the middle of the night the other day.
So I'm cyber stalking you.
I do my research at like 1 a.m. Then I wonder why I can't sleep. But you were talking about the different RH negative bloodlines, and they all have different traits. Can you go through that a little bit? Because I know like A negative has different traits than O negative does to AB negative, etc.
Yeah, I mean, even in Japan, it's very big over there. You know what your blood type is. I mean, they even hire and fire people based on their blood type.
Really?
So,
I didn't know that.
Yeah, and they sort of. Yeah, where here we have like the star signs and say, oh, a certain person's got a certain personality because of their star sign. They have it with blood types.
Okay. Oh, weird.
And
wow.
And it is interesting when you've met a lot of people and you know the blood types, how it does all fit into place. It's amazing, really.
So what are the differences?
Well, there are differences. I mean, I've just put a brief example about it on the website, but I do go into more detail in the book. But it's we've just got different personalities depending on what type of. I mean, even our diets are different. You know, A's are not supposed to eat much meat. Did you know that?
Yeah.
And B's can eat sort of nearly anything, but O's are supposed to only eat mainly meat. You know, it's just, that'll be because the O's is like the most ancient, and so they were mainly eating meat and hunting and stuff like that. And it's just, I think it affects your personality. A's are usually quite competitive.
Yeah, we are. Our whole family is. We're like nobody can just sit down and have a conversation. It has to turn into a match of wits. My dad became a lawyer, and his way of, we never could just ask for something. We had to, in detail, tell why we wanted to do it or why we wanted it, and like we were in court, he'd basically make us sit down.
He'd make you basically sit down and debrief what it is that you want and why you feel that you deserve it, kind of a thing. It was like literally you had to state your case before him, literally, and you had to do it in a bullet point presentation. You couldn't get into emotions, just state the facts and let me think about it. But you need to, like, basically you had to defend your case and you were just like, I just wanted to know if I could stay out extra late this evening. I mean, no matter what it was like you had to give a presentation and state your case before him with these bullet points, and then he would think about it, and it would take him easily a week to contemplate what it was that you said and whether your facts add up to him agreeing to the terms, and there were always terms. And he's still kind of like that, actually, which is interesting because we tend to now as adults interact with people that way. When I get angry, I go into that mode completely.
I do too.
It's weird. It's really weird. It's just total autopilot, like ingrained.
What about your O negative, correct? Tia, your O negative?
Yeah.
Okay, so what are traits of O negative?
O negatives are usually quite spiritual people and quite creative as well. But I think that's the sort of thing that stands out the most. And I would say for bees, they're mainly they're very earthy people, bees.
Okay.
And also quite nomadic. But yeah.
That's interesting. My current fiance is O negative, and my ex-husband he still is O negative. Act like he doesn't exist. Now gone.
He was once upon a time. Last time I saw him.
I know. But it's interesting because they're both really highly creative people. They're both really, really into film, and they're my fiance now is a director, and he edits movies and stuff. So that's really where his passion is, and he also plays instruments. So it's kind of interesting. Now the spirituality part, he hides like super well. He puts on this whole surface thing, like he doesn't believe, not that he doesn't believe in it, but just he doesn't talk about it. But when you get him going, he's also a 7. So when you get him going, all of a sudden you're like, dude, where did you learn all that? Because he is very very much into the esoteric. And sometimes he scares me because I'm like, did you just pull that out of your brain? He's like, no, I read all the I read all the time. I just don't tell you about it. He's like, every time you talk to me, I always can keep up. And I'm like, damn you. Because I'm constantly researching and stuff, and he's usually a little bit ahead of me. Or he usually goes, I was waiting for you to get there. Well, thanks.
Yeah, definitely good at the research. O negatives. They're good at research.
Yeah. So, go ahead.
I would think that A's are a little more, I don't want to sound nasty or anything, but they can be manipulative when they want to be.
Oh, there's
not always.
That in my family.
But they like to get their own way, sort of thing. So they're good at getting their own way.
Yeah. It's one of those things where if you realize that you have that kind of personality, and it's really about self-awareness. I think for me and I think for Rachel as well, I think we know this about ourselves and we sort of go, okay, let's put this in check. Is that true, Rachel?
Oh, I'm like so self-aware of my little idiosyncrasies and things that I do, down to the point that I know exactly why I'm doing what I'm doing, and I do keep it in check. And part of that is me being openly honest about my flaws, my tendencies, or why I'm doing things. And if I do, occasionally, sometimes you do have impulses, I always go back, apologize, and explain and take accountability for what I did. I think scare Chris because I do go back and I'm like, I'm sorry, that was da-da-da-da-da. And he's just like, whoa. But I'm just like, that's really important for me because that is keeping myself in check, that it's not okay to just always respond to these impulses. I do have to keep myself in check. If I don't, I'll spiral. I just go run rampant.
There is that moment. there's also that moment where you know what you're doing and you just don't care.
Absolutely, and that's usually when you push me to a certain point. It's just like, forget it.
That's very RH negative, I think, as well. I know other people. I mean, what do you think, Tia? Do you think that's really an RH negative thing?
Yeah, it can be. I think sometimes we're just too open and honest for our own good.
Yeah.
I think that's something, as a general sweeping term of all of the negatives. It's a case of we do tend to be very open and honest, and
I get
sometimes
myself in so much trouble with that.
Yeah. Yeah, I do too.
Yeah.
So what
people don't know how to take it, and then they think that you're abrasive or aggressive, or they think that you have intentions, and it's just like, I'm just talking directly to you. It's a respect thing for me. I don't.
Tia, what do you think, though? Like, why do you think we have these traits? Why do you think we're here? Why do you think that we can't create with other A-positive people or O-positive people? Like, what is this? I guess is like, deep down, what do you feel, or what have you studied?
Well, it's just a case of, like I said, that it's because of the mixing that is the reason why we can't have children with those with the different. We can, but it's more of a struggle. It's because of the mixing of species. So, I mean, most people are very mixed these days. So it's it's just that if you have more of the serpent bloodline genes, then you tend to be more psychic, more in tune with things, and precognitive dreams and all sorts of things. I mean, you just find out anybody you talk to, and you find out you're talking about all these weird and wonderful things. You say, "What's your blood type?" I mean, 99% of the time they will be RH negative.
It's true.
You know?
But why do you think that though? Like, is there something that we're supposed to do? Is there some kind of purpose for us, or like, what's the bigger picture? I guess
we've all got our genetic memories from our ancestors, and so if we can tap into those, we can remember everything, and we can remember exactly who we are. And then when you do start to remember, it all sorts of comes flooding back to you, and you thought, that's why I was thinking that, and that's why I feel like that. It just all comes back to you, and it is based on genetic memories, and that's why we're attracted to others.
Did you hear that, Rachel?
Yeah, no, I totally constantly talk. Yeah, I totally keep talking about DNA imprinting. I totally believe in DNA imprinting. I do believe that we pass down all of that through our DNA and genetics, and it's encoded in us, which is why we have these memories or dreams, and thoughts, as well as patterns and cycles that we pass down through generation, and finding those patterns and cycles and correcting them, I think, is really important, especially for our family in particular, just because of somewhere along the line there was massive trauma and abuse that took place, and it has been passed down and repetitively repeating itself. And so, I mean, that for me is so huge, with finding those cycles, correcting those cycles, and creating new synapses and changes, and actually changing DNA. But I do believe it is imprinted. But one of my questions is RH negative is such a small population right now. I believe it's like only 10 or 15% of the population. And obviously, at some point, if in fact that RH negative was the original species, and there is two species, then somewhere along the way it got eradicated, which throughout history it would definitely show you that it has been. What is the future for this blood type and this species that is ours? Is it possible through awakening, through figuring out these cycles and having these awakenings and finding these truths of who our people are we going to repopulate and actually grow in numbers? Because as of right now, we are the smallest population on the planet.
Yeah, that has a lot to do with the Eagle bloodline, because they have wanted to wipe us all out. And every time they found us, they just wanted to kill off as many of us, especially the men. There's more of our bloodline left that are female than the males, because they use the females for breeding with, but the males, they want to just wipe them all out. So there's not very many. I mean, if you go into the DNA studies, I know which there's hardly any of the males left, but there are more of the females.
But do you think in the future that we are going to actually repopulate and actually grow in numbers, or is our bloodline eventually just going to go extinct? What is going to happen?
Well, I think it's an awareness thing. Once people start finding each other again and realizing that they can have children safely as long as it's with their own, then it will start to, they'll start to seek out consciously others like them. They do anyway, subconsciously. So when they're actually consciously doing it, then it will be easier for us because we'll all know. Well, it would be wonderful to be able to live in harmony with nature and stuff like we used to be able to before the eagles took over. Because we used to have a beautiful, harmonious place, a planet. It was absolutely wonderful. And then we made the stupid mistake of creating monsters, basically, who took over everything. But I'm sure we could get it back with consciousness when we all start waking up and realising this and realising exactly who we are and that we've got this divine spark within us that can be ignited. So I think it's good the more aware we all become of this. And then,
because I think that's part of the off balance. I think that's part of that tilt that is so off balance.
Oh yeah, because there's a lot more of them than us.
Oh yeah. Do you know what I mean? It's like that consciousness. Everything is so off tilt right now, and that is part of it. I think is that this bloodline is so off tilt. It's I don't know. It just trips me out.
But then again, you could look at it as in, though more of the people from our bloodline have done the great work and moved on.
That is true.
Absolutely. Yes, absolutely.
They always say in societies, I was reading something about sociology, and the 20% do the work for the 80%. So there's always people who are more leaders who do more work than the followers do. And so I guess we are that greater. Yeah, I guess we are that 20% in a way. Well,
because waves are caused by ripples.
Right.
Absolutely. That's how you create waves, is through ripples. If you started off with just a wave, you create chaos. It just total, utter destruction. You have to actually, through small little ripples, actually create waves so it slowly and gradually comes in and hits the shore. So, that does make sense. I definitely agree with that statement that, we are doing the work. We are that 20%, but it would be nice to see that balance restored, and it would really be nice to see that bloodline actually thriving and repopulating.
What do you think will happen if the bloodline is sort of restored? If there was like a 60-40 or even a 70-30, what do you think would happen?
Well, I think the ones who are more like us will probably not want to have to put up with the ones who aren't as spiritual as us, and it might cause, I don't know, because we're very not warlike, if you know what I mean, but they are. So I don't think that'd ever happen because they always cause all the wars and they just want to, whereas we're more like dolphins, no matter what people do to us, we're like, oh, well, but I still have so much love in me and all this stuff, and we can't bear to hurt another person, whereas they're just like, oh, get lost, kill you,
Yeah,
so,
there's a sense of structure to it too, where I notice people who are more spiritual, Arch-negative people or other people that have sort of who've got the ball rolling, we tend to see the bigger picture, so we don't take things so personally, or when we do take things personally, we have an awareness of it, and so we use it as a life lesson to move forward. So there's always this constant moving forward in some way, or trying to find the bigger picture, whereas I notice people who are more into dogmas are more structured. It's more of that, I want to say, emperor energy. I read tarot, so everything has to do with tarot cards with me, but it's more the emperor energy where it's just structure. It's just, I must do this because it says I have to do this. And it's, you gotta get stuck. And so then that's why the wars happen. That's why Christianity is so rampant. Not that I'm against Christianity. I'm against the dogma that precipitates this sort of things like the West Baptist Church, the West, what is it? I don't know what they're called, West Bureau Baptist Church or whatever, where because my Bible says this, therefore I must go out and picket anything that has to do with gays. It's like, okay, where did you come up with that? Not that, you're entitled to your own belief, but if your dogma is that structured and that stunted, then there's something wrong with it, because the path to enlightenment is not
through hatred or bigotry.
One way. It's not one way. It's not a tunnel. You know what I mean?
It's not left brain thinking. It's right brain thinking.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah.
Well, DNA doesn't even move in a straight line. Nothing in nature moves in a straight line. Nothing moves in a straight line, other than rigid thinking.
But have you noticed how since the Eagles have taken over everything, we always live in boxes?
We do.
Everything's
quite literally.
Squares. Yeah, everything's square. I mean, it used to be that we lived in roundhouses and mounds and things like that. Everything was round and organic. Now everything's square.
Yeah, even like the old churches had the roundness to them, and they had the crosses with the round circle, for the enlightenment or the gnosis. You're right. I didn't realize that everything is very structured, like quite literally.
Yeah.
Huh.
Everything's very rigid.
What would you say? We only have about 8 minutes left, but I want to end with this, and then we'll go into like your book and make sure people know where to get it. But what do you, for those people who are RH negative or are really looking for the path of enlightenment, and they have that fear from the structure, what can we do to kind of peel back those layers or awaken them, or you know what I mean, that sense of?
Well, it's the hardest thing to do is you can't actually get anybody else to wake up, because the amount of people who will come and say to me, I want to know about this and I want to know about that, and I'll say to them, nobody else outside of you can tell you. You have to find the answer inside. And they still don't get it, and they don't know what I mean. And then they go to some guru and they tell them, oh, you must do this and you must do that, and they sit there and just believe everything they say. I'm like, no, the answers are within you.
Yep.
Nobody else can tell you about your path or what you should and shouldn't be doing. It's you. It's personal to you. And you can't wake somebody else up. You just can't. I mean, you can hint at things that might give them push in the right direction, but if somebody's not ready, they won't wake up.
You can basically show them that you can show them hints. You can lead the horse to water, but you can't force them to drink. But it is a journey that we all go in. Everyone at some point in their life goes on this journey, and it's a journey within, and it's a journey you can't take people, and you can't take a guide. You can't take anyone with you. It is your own personal journey, and it's so funny that you said that, because I just had that same conversation with my mother yesterday.
Oh, boy.
No, I'm serious, and it's just really funny that you said that, because she didn't understand what I was talking about, and I was just like, you have to stop listening to all these outside voices. You're the only one that lives inside of you. You're the only one that knows what's right for you. No one can tell you that.
People are so used to this structure of control, though, that they think that they need to go to like a father figure or something to get information, like the priesthood or whatever. And it's always like, instead of becoming a priest or a priestess themselves, they think they have to go to somebody else to teach them.
Yep.
And everybody deserves to be a priest or a priestess themselves, because we are the guru for our own lives. Nobody else is.
It's interesting that you put it that way, because everybody always looks outward for answers. Everybody always looks to someone else. And sorry, I didn't realize that now as you're talking about this, I'm realizing that a lot of how I read tarot is exactly that. I tell people all the time, I'm giving you choices here. If you don't like what I have to say, change it. And sometimes I tell people, you're in a path change right now. I can't tell you what to do. Here's the 2 paths you have to choose. You have to figure it out. And I've had clients that say, why can't you just tell me what to do? And I'm like, why would I? I'm here to guide you, not to tell you. I can't learn the lesson for you. This is your lesson. So are you going to choose a path that teaches you something new, or you're going to be on the same path. It doesn't really matter. It depends on what you hope to achieve. And I know I have clients who get very frustrated with that, and then once they figure it out themselves, they come back and say, thank you for not telling me what to do. But it's always in that moment that you're like, like just give me something that's structured and polished and that I can just do it. So I don't have to think about it. I don't have to go within. You know what I mean? People have this tendency not to want to go within, I notice.
But part of that, I think, is not being accountable or responsibility for their own emotions, their own choices, and their own part that they play in co-creating their own existence. If you give me the answers and you give me instruction, then it is your responsibility and your accountability and your problem when things don't go as I want them to go. And I think people are constantly not taking accountability for themselves and their experiences that they're having. And that is part of going within and finding your own answers and your own experiences, because you're the only one existing in.
And that's
absolutely right, yeah.
Yeah, that's what
people always
want about. Go ahead. Sorry.
People always want somebody else to be responsible, and they never want to actually do it themselves, because it's so much easier to just sit there and let somebody else tell you than to do it yourself.
Yeah, sheeple, like you said. Okay. Well, we only have about 3 minutes left, so I want to make sure people know where to go to learn more about you and your book, to get your book. And I know you have so many other projects going on. I love going through your website. I kind of get lost in it because there's so many things going on. But tell us about where you get the book and what the name of it is and where they can find you and all that stuff.
Right, well, the book is Secrets of the Serpent Bloodline, and it's available at serpentbloodline.info, or it's available on Lulu. I think some countries can get it in Amazon, but it's not available on all of them, I don't think, at the moment. And I can be found at templeofviola.org or churchsmsj.org. And we've also got Knights Hospitaller Templar .org.
Yeah, and you have
loads.
I know, and you do have Facebook pages. Yeah, if you look up Tia Douglas it's DOU. Go ahead, Tao. Yeah, you're right. Go ahead.
Yeah, it's Tao Tia L Douglas with double S.
Yes, with double S is what I was going to say because I spelled it incorrectly. Yeah, you can always look her up. She's got the Google loves her. Like if you put in her name, it all comes up. Tao Tia L Douglas. You have done good with your keywords and your SEO. But
yeah, so have the haters as well, because there's a lot of haters out there who've put nasty things up about me. But that always happens, doesn't it?
I know. I was reading it.
That means you're doing something right.
Exactly.
I saw the one about the guy with the lizard, and I was like, "Are you kidding me? This is really a complaint. Seriously, you're putting lizard people." I was like, "What?" And I was like, "Okay, I can't take this seriously at all." I believe in some strange things, but that goes a little too far.
Yeah, they've been reading too much David Icke.
Yeah, I mean, I got the whole reptilian thing. I know about the Dracos, but come on, this is like, woo. But anyway, yeah, it's Tao Tia L Douglas, and she's got stuff on Facebook. Like her pages, talk to her. She's a wonderful person. And thank you for being on the show, even with all the difficulties we had at the beginning, but we got through it. And yeah, we'd love to have you on again.
Yeah.
If you'd like to come back and talk.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
Well, thank you everybody for listening. We had a lot of listeners this time too, so people really wanted to hear this. So thank you.
Right.
Thank you for listening, and we'll see you next week. Bye-bye, everybody.
Bye.
devil's tearing your life away. If you've made your peace, then the devils are really angels, freeing you from the earth.